Krafty Friends. It's Jen from Katahdin Krafts. I'm here for my final week, insert sad face, as April's guest designer for Newton's Nook Designs. In this week's card, Newton is looking through his telescope and sees a shooting star. I used Cosmic Newton stamp set to make a cute slider card, and I also used their framework die set. I started my project making my background. I wanted a pretty galaxy sky, so I used my distressed oxide inks to achieve my goals. I actually made two large panels doing this, and I changed up the colors slightly in each. For the one that I'm showing here, I used mustard seed, picked raspberry, and mermaid lagoon. And first I blended in all the colors and I overlapped them so you can get secondary colors that way. You know, if you touch the picked raspberry and the mustard seed, you get a pretty orange in between, and then of course with the blue and the mustard, the yellow, you get the green, you know, the secondary colors. So I like that. So you get 6 colors out of 3. And once I was done with blending the bright colors, I went over them with chip sapphire and black soot, and that gives more of a cosmic nighttime look, which I really like. And it's fun to do this. I just kept on blending until I got all the colors smooth and you couldn't see the strokes that I made. And it wasn't, it wasn't too important to get every single one out, just because you're going to go back over it with the chip sapphire and the black soot anyway. So clean up my mess. As you can see, I made quite the mess doing these cards. The backgrounds with the acrylic paints, and yeah, I was quite messy at the end of this process, but it's a lot of fun. So now I'm going in with the chip sapphire, and I just go right on top of it. And as you're doing it, you're like, oh, I'm ruining the project because, you know, all those colors are kind of going away. But in the long run, you'll see it really does work out nicely. And the colors come back through once you start using your water to make the reaction happen. So now I'm using black soot, and I'm just going back and forth with both of them. I don't use a wicked heavy hand because I don't want all the colors to be gone. I did want this to be a little bit bright, but at the same time still look like it's nighttime. So I don't really go too heavy on that, as you can see. And now is the fun part, is putting the water down to get that cosmic look right there, the reaction with the water and the inks. And now I'm getting out my fancy spray splatter box, and I'm picking up some white acrylic paint and some yellow acrylic paint, and I put a little bit of Lawn Fawn Stardust in it. It's actually called Liquid Stardust, and I just picked that up. I put a little bit of water in there too to thin it down, and I used just a paintbrush, and I just used my fingers. I'm all about getting all messy. And then there I just added some pure white because the other was a little bit tinted with the yellow, and I just wanted a little bit of variations of the colors. And now I'm just going to show you how easy it really is with the Tim Holtz mat, or the glass media mat, to just wipe everything quickly down. And there, my mess. Oh, and now I decided just to go with the Liquid Stardust and put some more shimmer on there, and I was really pleased that I did. The panel that I didn't do this to is not nearly as pretty as this one. This one came out amazing, actually. I liked that. And unfortunately, I don't think the camera's going to show it justice. I'm trying to show you. You can see the one that's more muted right there, and then the one that has a lot of that stardust. And now I'm just going to cut them all to A2 size and get them ready for the next step. At this point in the project, I wasn't exactly sure what size I wanted to use, so I used the medium-sized scallop and then the largest one out of the Newton's framework set. And I chose the largest one to use for the project. And now is my coloring, and this is the 4th week in a row that I've played with Newton, and I always color him the same way because this is just the way I personally like to see him, as an orange tiger cat. So I do my regular Y35, Y38, YR15, and then I put those stripes in with YR16. And it's the way that I've discovered that I like to do it. And I like the effect. And his ears are R20. And like I said, now I'm kind of like, I'm calling myself a self-proclaimed Newton expert when it comes to the tiger kitty, because I've done so many of them this past month. And as you can see with the telescope, I used cool grays. So I used all the C's. You can see them up on the side. And I actually really like the dimension I ended up getting on this and making it look pretty 3D effect. I was happy with that. And I'll have all the colors written down on the blog post so you can see all of those. And I end up stamping out a couple more of those planets because once I started doing my final project, I decided I needed a couple more. And then I colored them all different, and I liked them. I just did really bright, vibrant colors, as you can see. And the stars were pretty simple, just the Y06, Y08, and Y19, just for a little bit of shadowing and highlights. And I kind of got a little creative when it came to the galaxy dust, the star dust after the shooting star, and you'll see that shortly. And then this is just some of the planets, RV04, RV06, and then I mixed it in with blues and purples. I just did them all, just kind of random. And I had fun with it, playing with the colors and just making them really bright and mixing them. I don't often mix stuff like that on top of each other, purples and blues, and so that was actually really fun to do. And now I went ahead and I put Winka Stella on all the planets and the stars. And the lens of the telescope, I put a little bit of shimmer on that as well. Now for that little stardust, I used Y000, YR00, BG000, R00, and I just had fun with it. And then I kind of smoothed it all out with C00, and then I added 2 layers of Winka Stella. Now here comes the challenging part. I'm telling you this. I actually ended up making 2 cards because I couldn't get this slider to work the way I really envisioned it. So what I finally did is I did use a slider template, like a die cut, but then I had to modify it because it was too wide for the star that I wanted to use. So I modified it and made it smaller, and then I just traced it onto my background, and then I used a pen blade and I cut that out. And then I tried different things. I was hoping that I could use like a button or something like that, but I definitely discovered that a penny or a dime is weighted better, so it makes the slider. I wanted the back of the slider, the underneath where you can see the hole, to blend really well. So what I did is just take a piece of that extra background that I had made, just a little extra, and just put it there so it would be underneath where you could see where the slider goes back and forth. And now I'm tripling the foam tape and getting a good leverage. You have to have that spacing there in order for your dime to slide back and forth to make it slide. So tripling is what you really need to do. A double is not enough. And off camera, I heat embossed the sentiment Reach for the Stars on a piece of grass that I die cut out on Basil Black cardstock. And then I go ahead and I assemble the rest of my card. I just was playing around with my placement of the planets and the stars. And I liked the idea of Newton being in the corner so he could be looking up at that shooting star that slides back and forth. And you can see I actually put both cards on here so you can see how I did not care for my first one. I had the sentiment in a slightly different spot, and I just didn't think that it popped well enough, and I liked where it was on the black. And then I really couldn't get the slider to work very well at first. That just the curve that I put in there, so you can see that I had more of a curve and it just wasn't sliding smoothly. But it's still a cute card, but it just wasn't exactly what I wanted. So I went ahead and made it again, and I just wanted you to see the 2 differences. Thanks so much to Newton's Nook Design for having me as their April guest designer. I've had a tremendous amount of fun. I love all their products, and I highly suggest that everybody go check out all the other YouTube videos that they have on their channel for lots of creative inspiration. And please come find me at Instagram at Katahdin Krafts and my blog katahdinkrafts.com. And feel free to pop by my YouTube channel. Take care, everybody. Stay safe and stay crafting.